All right, guys. I think that we are live. I think the red light is on. Let me know in the chat if you can hear me okay, because I never know if I'm just talking to myself. Let me know in the chat if you can hear me okay. All right, guys. Tonight, I am excited to have on a new friend, I would say. I met him in person at the National, and I've been watching his YouTube channel over the last maybe like 2 months or so is when I found it. And just really been enjoying it. I was glad to run into him at the National. We talked a little bit, and I wanted to see if I could get him on and talk to him one-on-one on a live stream. So I've got him here tonight. It's FD, and his channel is Rollin with FD. Check it out on YouTube. I'm gonna go ahead and bring him from behind the curtain if I can work this technology. FD, what's up, man?
What's up, man? What's up? How we doing? It's good to be here with the personal finance dad. I tell you that.
I'm excited to have you. I'm limited now. Now I'm just on weekly with Brad, the comeback card investor, and frankly, I'm tired of it. I need some new blood around here, so I'm excited. I'm excited to have you. I'm excited to have you on.
Well, thank you very much. I'm excited to be here.
All right, man.
And hello to everyone out there.
Absolutely. Yeah. Let me go down the list. Let's say hello real quick. OG Card Scammer, how you doing, man? Brian Sherland, I'm still sorry about your Suns. I know I'm probably poking at you a little bit. I don't mean that in a bad way. I was pulling for the Suns too. Sorry about that, Brian. And it's not Bucks, it's Saints. You're spelling Saints wrong with that B-U-C-S. David Hunter, how you doing, buddy?
So David.
Now they're all rolling in. I can't. Okay, Hobby Champs, good to see you. Alex over down under Australia.
All right.
Studio Sports. Ryan, how's it going? I know. I swear, I think there's like 4 or 5 people that literally just hit. Actually, I think that Brad like hits the thumb down for every single one of my videos without fail. Troy, how you doing?
How you doing, Troy?
Trevor, good to see you. Driz T66, 3B Collection. I don't recognize. I think we got some new people in here. I don't recognize.
All right, it's good to see.
Or some new people in the chat at least. Good to see you guys. Oh, okay. First time catching you live. Awesome. Well, thanks very much for joining.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
Yeah. All right, FD. So let's just kind of do the usual thing. Let's just go ahead and jump right into it. You're a YouTuber, but let's talk about just your card collecting journey. How did this start for you? Just kind of go through that. Let's break that down.
All right. So I'm just going to tell my story. And we have a show coming up that's going to be a bio show, and a lot of this stuff will be in there and maybe a little bit more detail. But I'm a kid from Chicago, born and raised, grew up on the South Side. But I tell people all the time that I'm not really from the South Side. I'm from Robert and Betty's house, and those are my parents. So I have one brother, and my brother and I grew up in a pretty strict household, I would say. Well, my parents were really about education. We both played sports. My brother was a professional boxer and amateur boxer at one point. And that was really the focus. And I played football. I was on the track team. I was pretty active. I also did well in school. At one point, I was ranked #1 in my high school class. But I always saw myself as well-rounded, not just being an athlete, but also being a student. And that carried me all the way through high school and into college. And then in college, I played football. Played in high school as well. But I patterned myself, if anybody out there knows, Nate Newton with the Dallas Cowboys.
Oh, yeah.
He played yes, sir. He played right guard. I played right guard. And Nate Newton played with a chip on his shoulder, for everybody that doesn't know out there, because he was not drafted. But he was key on those 3 Super Bowl teams for the Dallas Cowboys.
He's the main reason why Emmitt Smith is the leading rusher.
Yeah, the way he played the position. And then in college, we played a pro-style offense, which allowed me as a guard to roam around. Did a lot of pulling, a lot of moving. I was on the left side of the line more than I probably was on the right side of the line in plays that we called. And we had a special thing is kind of we had
sorry to interrupt you, but you played with Nate?
No. Nate played at a smaller school and went pro, but while he was pro, I was in college.
Oh, okay. Got it. All right. Got it.
And just patterned my game after him, even down to how he dressed, the towel that he wore on his left leg. I mean, everything they did, I kind of patterned myself after. And then the school I went to, we had a running back that was a very successful running back, ran like 70% of his stuff on the right-hand side with me. But he ran the Harlan Hill. And if anybody knows about the Harlan Hill, it's a Division II Heisman Trophy. So we were all pretty excited about that. Ran for over 6,000 yards in his career. So after that, I started working. And this whole time that I'm telling you about all this other stuff that I'm doing, I'm also collecting. So I started collecting baseball cards in 1983 with the Don Mattingly cards that were hot at the time. And that kind of progressed throughout until 1989, 1990 when Jose Canseco was out, Mark McGwire was out, Ken Griffey Jr. was coming, Barry Bonds was out. That was like the kind of the highlight of my young career of collecting cards. And everywhere I went. And I think back then there were less hobby shops. People now today are used to a lot of hobby shops being around. But as kids, we bought a lot of our cards from 7-Eleven, different convenience stores, wherever we could, our parents would go and we could get away to a register and find something. That's where I purchased my cards at. So I had a lot of Jerry Rice rookie cards, Thurman Thomas stuff. When Barry came with Troy Aikman, a lot of that stuff. A lot of the evolution of cards when it went from a paper card and tops and donruss more to a kind of a plastic material and score and upper deck. You kind of saw the evolution. Upper deck came with the hologram on the back of cards, so cards couldn't be forged anymore or duplicated. That was kind of the science at the time. We all thought that was just great. You get cards like that. So as I kept evolving in school, I kept collecting. But I became an avid autograph collector. Most people here in LA probably have seen me at shows and know me for just going deep into autographs. And my first autograph was a Jose Canseco signed baseball in 1988. I went to a show on the south side of Chicago and got him to sign a ball and Walt Weiss to sign a ball. If anybody remember Walt Weiss, the Rookie of the Year with the Oakland A's. Mm-hmm. And Mark McGwire was supposed to be at that show, got sick, didn't show up. But that started from me talking to my father. And I want everybody out there to know that my father is the originator of Rollin with FD. This is a man who came from rural Mississippi, couldn't afford to collect cars, but got cars at the time and put them in the spokes of his bicycle so it could make a clicking noise with his friends. But he walked through, and he told me later on, Willie Mays cars, Hank Aaron cars, Mickey Mantle cars, never thought about investing in them. It was just to have fun. So when I came to him and said, hey, I want to autograph baseball of Jose Canseco, he said, let's go get it. Let's not buy it. Let's go get it, and let's meet him, and let's talk to him. And so, Dustin, when I first went to my first shows, I was very shy as a kid. My 5-year-old now probably will entertain new people better than I did when I was probably about 12. When I walked up to an athlete, I couldn't talk to him. I didn't know what to really say to them. But my father was always behind me, whispering in my ear before we got up to the table, telling me what to say, giving me stats about the player from something that he saw when he was in college. One of the first big football players I met was Jim Brown. I was probably about 13 years old. My father walked me through his career as we were in line, told me about the 1963 championship, 1965 championship run against the Green Bay Packers, and just coached me on what to say. So I tell people now when they talk to me about Rollin with FD, everything you see me do in the show or everyone that you see me talk to is an example of who my father was. So my father passed away in December. And that leapfrogged us to the beginning of Rollin with FD. So I sat and probably watched YouTube for probably about a year and watched a lot of different channels about fishing, about sports, outdoor activities, and about collecting anything collectible. And I got different perspectives, but I always felt like my story of how I wanted to tell it just wasn't being told yet. So I came up with the idea to start a show. Didn't know what it was going to be called, what we were really going to get into, how we'll go about talking in shows. Didn't know really any of that. But I think this is a collection of everything I've done. We talked a little bit about being an athlete. I did well in school. We talked about that. I also, when I got out and started my work career, one of my first jobs after business school, I went back to school and got an MBA from a pretty good school. And I started working in sales. And I did very well in sales. I worked for a industrial supply company. And we did a lot of cold calling and getting to know people quickly and talking to people on a regular basis. And so Rollin with FD is a part of that as well. When I go through a show, especially at a card show, it's really no different than sales calls that I used to go on. And introducing myself quickly and getting to know people and talking to them and finding out their background. And I guess I've been blessed with, I can remember things about people pretty quickly. So if you tell me a story, if you tell me something about you, or you tell me something about your children, I pretty much remember that instantaneously. And the next time I see you, I want to bring that up, and then we're going to have a conversation. And I used to go into sales calls and not really sell anything, but sometimes I would just talk to people and build a relationship to maybe 3, 6, 9 months down the road, something would sell.
Yeah, cold calling makes you, I mean, it's such a great experience. It can be horrible, but at the same time, it's really, really good experience for anybody. I mean, it's like just because you get used to rejection. And once you get used to rejection, and rejection becomes your friend and it's no longer something you're afraid of, then the world is your oyster at that point, because you're not afraid to hear no. And no is just kind of a gateway to yes a lot of times, when it comes to sales or business or whatever.
That's very true.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. If you put in your mind that no is a no for right now while we're having this conversation, you're fine. You won't get bummed out about it. I've been on some sales calls where with very large accounts and heard no, heard yes, and walked out the room the same way. It really doesn't matter. So Rollin with FD became a culmination of all of this. And to me, I always tell people there are 3 parts to Rollin with FD. There's FD, that's myself. There's G, who is my 17-year-old son. I couldn't do this show without talking about him. He does a great job at editing. And I want people to know that none of this is like just jumped out and this became reality. G, when he was a young child, I want to tell this story. I was thinking about this today. When he was about 8 or 9 years old, he would make Lego action movies from stop action. And they could be anywhere from 12 to 20 minutes. And he would spend time on moving the figure and making the next scene, and moving the figure and making the next scene, and bringing all that together with, he would do voiceovers for dialogue and bring all that together and pull his mom and I together. And we would have like a family show night where he would show us his movie.
That's
like this young man is not, he's not new. Like he puts in a lot of work and a lot of effort in what he does.
Oh, I can see that. Yeah.
Thank you.
It's impressive. I mean, I honestly thought that it was shocking that he's 17. I thought maybe he was like in his early 20s or something, because he's doing all the editing and doing all the work. I mean, it's a lot. It's and he's doing good work too. It's not sloppy.
Thank you for saying that. He's very passionate about what he does. He's a very humble person. So if you saw G in person, you would he doesn't say much sometimes, but he's a thinker. When we start talking about how we want scenes to look, or what are we trying to shoot, or what are we doing, it's almost like we're on a movie set sometimes, because he's very professional about his approach of what he does.
Is that something that he wants to go to school for or anything like that?
Yes.
Have you talked about that?
Yes, okay. Yes. He actually took his SAT about 2 months ago now. Got a very good score. We were all happy as a family. And he wants to go somewhere close, and he wants to do film professionally. And we've talked about this with him since probably the age of 9 to 10. This is what he's been passionate about. So us coming together, me sitting down and talking about the idea of this, and in the past, I wanted to do sports talk radio, other things. And when we start talking about this concept and this idea of him kind of being behind the camera, and you'll see me pull him more in front of the camera sometimes in certain situations, but him being behind the camera and me trying to just go with what I've been used to and what I've done in the past without any cameras being around, and then showcasing that. And the biggest thing about our show is that we're doing what we've always done. When I've gone to shows in the past, either being for autographs or searching down cards, this is kind of what we've done. And we want to record it, document it, and be able to put it out each week and show people just how maybe an older guy does it, someone who's had different things going on in life, and pulling all that together to put a vlog out there about sports collectibles, and bringing in my father in the past and things that I've been throughout my life. It's just been important to us to make sure we always say we want to keep it real, and it's keeping it real to what we do.
Well, I think it's very relatable. I mean, there's a lot of people in the hobby, as you know, that are 35 to 50 years old that are getting back into cards, or they've been in it for a long time. But And a lot of them are fathers or their mothers or whatever, and they can relate to that. And and you guys, that's one thing about your vlog. It's got really good flow, like it just flows really, really well.
Thank you for saying that, Dustin. I really
Yeah.
appreciate that, because we spend a lot of time on that. We go over shows. We go through a process. It's not just something that's recorded, edited, and then uploaded. There's a process. And sometimes if we don't think an episode is ready to be uploaded, it's not uploaded until we look at it again, maybe get a good night rest, come back, look at it, tweak some things, adjust sound, do whatever we need to do to make sure that what we're putting out is the best product that we can put out.
Love it. Now, let me ask you this. So I know a lot of your stuff is it's more that vlog style. Have you thought about doing other types of stuff, where it's more just you talking about a specific subject related to the hobby, or something different? Or are you guys really focused on because the vlogs are awesome. But I'm just curious to see if you have other things that you're thinking about doing too with it.
Oh yeah, well, there are other aspects to the show. I think with the National going on, we did a lot of vlogs about the National. But when all the viewers get on and they look back, we have something called Candid Conversations, where we'll have an interview series with different people, either in the hobby or in the world of sports or in general. Probably the biggest name that we've interviewed so far is the executive director of the Shoeless Joe Jackson Museum in South Carolina, where we talked to him about the museum, but about getting the museum back up and running. Why was he passionate about being the executive director? What's the future of the museum going to be? And just about Joe Jackson in general and his involvement with the Black Sox and things of that nature. So we walked through all of that. Want to do more of that. We had the opportunity to meet Mike from Jaspy Sportcards here in LA at the show. And we had a great opportunity to sit down and talk to the Divine Warrior as well, which is a Chicagoan who was influential in the sports community, sports card collecting community. I had a chance to have a good conversation with him. And we realized when we were in a conversation that we grew up just blocks away from each other. But how we came into the hobby is very, very different. So that episode will be up soon. So, and then we also have what we call the Really Reels, which are kind of like bloopers from different shows or some aspects of something that about sports that is more informational. And then we have another segment that's going to be coming called Stories, where we're going to talk more about collectibles, how you collect, things of that nature. Different aspects of doing analysis. So it's evolving. It's ever evolving.
I love it, man. It's great. It's good stuff. All right, let's seg into your collecting style. I know you mentioned autographs. I've also been kind of digging a little bit deeper into, I'll show you a couple of my things. I don't know. Yeah, I've picked up. So I've been getting kind of into the flawless stuff. I'm going after legends.
Oh yeah.
So the one thing, and I found, I don't know if, I'm not sure if you saw this. I mentioned it on the video, but actually he's in the chat here. Hobby Champs. Yeah, definitely check out Rollin with FD's.
Thank you, Hobby.
Got to check it out. But he actually brought this to my attention. Beckett.com. If you go on Beckett.com, you can just search any athlete. And then on the left, on kind of that filter bar, you can actually look and see how many autos there are in existence for a particular player and whether they're on-card autos or just member or whatever it is. But that's kind of helpful because it's almost kind of like a population report. It's sort of, but it gives you an idea of how scarce is an auto. How scarce is a Jim Brown auto compared to a Larry Bird auto compared to whoever, Joe Namath or whatever it is. And that's been really fun for me lately. I've been kind of digging into that. But so tell me how, and I've been watching your vlogs. You strike me as somebody that has a diverse kind of collective, like baseball. I've seen you look at baseball. I've seen you look at football. I've seen you look at basketball. So are you, do you have a focus right now, or like how, where are you with all of that? And how do you decide, cause you have an eye for it to where you see a card and you know what you want. So like, how do you tell me your process with that?
Well, one thing I'll say is that I'm constantly doing research on cards. I mean, all the time. If you ask anybody in my family or you ask G, I'm constantly looking at cards on eBay, realizing prices. So a lot of times in a show, I've come to realize that I do stuff just by instinct, and I'm going to slow that down. Demetrius, I appreciate. Demetrius is a gentleman I went to high school with.
Nice.
Who shows a lot of love. I appreciate it. But I go through a process in my head sometimes that I don't speak to on the show. So like recently, we were at a show in Santa Barbara. I ran across a LeBron James Topps Matrix card from his rookie year that has LeBron, Wade, and Bosh on it. I've researched this card to the nth degree. I kind of know what a PSA 10, a 9.5, or PSA 9, what it should cost, just off the top of my head. So that's the kind of work that I put in. I don't, and I always advise people. I know people talk about 100 hours of research before you make a buy. That's true, but this hobby is ever evolving. To me, I have to keep up on what's going on all the time to see what changes are going on. I also have a knack for going on eBay, and I use eBay as a source for great deals a lot of times. There are a lot of great deals on eBay. Some deals you'll find in person at the show, but I can't harp enough about the deals that I found on eBay. You can just be strolling through. And if you know the player, if you analyzed and looked at what players you want to concentrate on, because we have to concentrate in this hobby, there's so much that's going on. So if you concentrate on the players that you want to look at, and you look for rarity, you look for a number card or a card with an autograph on it, or a certain product that may be a mid to higher price point, and you're focused on that as you're going through, you're going to find deals. But as shows, I just make sure I keep to what my analysis has been. As I'm going through tables, you'll watch me. I'm looking for certain players. I'm looking for Jordan, LeBron, Kobe, Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh. There are certain players. I'm looking for a Garnett. Tim Duncan is a favorite. I'm looking for certain players. And once I get through that player kind of prism, then I'm looking for what kind of card is it? How rare is it? What is the price on it? Instantaneously, I can tell you if I've just found a deal or not by looking through. I love to hear how other people go about making decisions when they're at the show, but I don't get off my focus by too much of anything. If I saw, this is just me. I know there are people out there who love Trae Young. I know there are people out there who love other great players who are young in their careers. But when I see, let's say, a Trae Young card, it's not moving me off what I'm looking for. Unless that card is extremely rare, just not moving me off. So I know I'm looking for GOAT players, and I'm looking for kind of a deal on those GOAT players. I've talked to some people who said, well, why don't you buy more expensive cards? I'm very particular about what kind of more expensive card I purchase. Like recently, I purchased a PSA 10 Population 1 Steph Curry rookie card. Now, I did a lot of research before I purchased that card. But I just know, even before he got the contract, I just know how he changed the game. Also look for players who have 100%. Changed the game. Yeah, that's why Shaq stuff is becoming very popular now because he changed the game.
Yeah,
it's
funny. It's like the NBA being a 3-point league where everyone shoots 3-pointers. That started with Steph Curry. Yeah. Like it started with
Trae Young. There's no Trae Young. Yeah, no Trae Young unless it's Steph Curry.
Yeah.
So those are the things I look for. I hope that answers you. I hope everybody can follow kind of my logic. But I'm looking for GOAT players. Then I'm looking for what kind of card it is, and then what's the potential on that card. I think I pointed out in a recent show that was a LeBron James on-card auto card for $20,000 from his rookie year. Same card for Dwayne Wade was $2,000. It was a BGS 9.5. How much upside is on that Dwayne Wade card?
Right.
That's what's going to catch my eye. And I'm not making a purchase. I had a young man that attended a show with me recently named Roman. Roman asked me at a show recently, well, so how do you sell cards? Are you on eBay? Or what are you doing? I said, Roman, I bought cards for years and I don't sell cards. And he kind of looked at me, but that's my philosophy. I know it's very different than what some people do today, but I have a strong PC that I believe in. Add to it in a strategic manner. And I don't buy cards that I don't think are going to increase in value over time and or have not proven themselves to increase in value over time.
It sounds like we have a similar philosophy with that because I do very little selling as well. But then also I'm more focused on my downside risk. And I just know it's kind of like, it's like what you said, if you pick the right player, then the upside will kind of take care of itself over time. Yep. That's the belief. And I'm just, and like you said, it's like trying to find the value. Like, am I getting a good price for a great player, that I believe in?
That's right. That's really where it's at. And if you hit those 3 or 4 points on a consistent basis, I don't believe you can lose. I don't see how. I haven't lost in years of collecting cards, and I don't see how you can. But it has to be a player who is on the court, on the field, really producing. And another aspect that I want to bring up to people is that I watch sports and I follow sports. Mm-hmm. And if anybody knows me, you can ask any friends that I've had for years. I'm a sports a real fan. I get into who's producing what. I love fantasy football. And I tell people all the time, I have 3 fantasy football leagues I'm going to be in this year. And when I pick my team, I have my phone only. I'm not on the side looking up graphs and trying to understand what the ESPN guy said, because a lot of times ESPN is wrong. You just got to watch the game, understand what that running back is, what they're going to do, and think about their future progression of their career. Like one person I think about right now is Justin Jefferson for the Minnesota Vikings. You watch him, you watch him play. You see a future Hall of Famer. The way he runs a route.
He's an animal, yeah, for sure.
The way he redirects himself is crazy. But the question is, will he get hurt?
Right.
What will happen to him over time? Can he take a hit? Or will he avoid a hit? Will he get alligator arms when it's time to catch the ball over the middle? These are the things I'm going to be looking for this year from him, to see if he can prove himself to be a legit player. And there are a lot of players that are like that. You see a glimpse of greatness, and the hobby swarms to that person. Just like luck for Green Bay Packers, right? Backup quarterback.
Oh, yeah, Jordan Love.
Yeah, Jordan Love.
Yeah.
We don't know who he is.
Yeah, we know nothing.
But the hobby has swarmed to him because Rodgers may have left to go to another team. Like for me, that's not. I'm not going to collect that.
Yeah, it's big speculation. You know, it's like these things have to play out. When I a couple of years ago, I got in. Oh, I guess it was a year and a half ago. But I bought a bunch of like Ryan Finley, Mason Rudolph, Will Greer rookie cards because these were all like these young guys coming. It's like, hey, but if they get in the game and they make have a couple good games, prices go up. Now I'm just kind of like, man, I just don't have the energy for that stuff. You know, it's hard. Like, especially now too. If you look at the NFL, I mean, I've been watching NFL football for 35 years, and I can't think of a time where there's been more QB talent in the NFL than there is right now. Sure. You know, I mean, meaning that like every single team of the 32 teams has a fairly legit QB, whereas like 30 years ago, you had half the teams that just had somebody suiting up, you know, like, and then you had a handful of guys that were, you know, the Joe Montanas and, you know, et cetera. But I mean, the majority of teams were still trying to find, you know, they were just kind of rolling with whoever was starting. But now you've got, you can make an argument for franchise QBs really like at every single team, just about. Maybe a few teams where it's a little sketchy, but and then even the teams that didn't have one, they just drafted a potential one. Even Chicago's got Fields, and Jacksonville's got Lawrence, and these guys drafted QBs. The Patriots got Mac Jones, and we don't know how these guys are going to turn out. But the point is that they've got someone exciting there that's new to take over. So
yes, even a 49ers quarterback, I was watching him the other night. That young man has an arm on him. Yeah, but we're going to see under pressure where can he put the ball at. But he definitely has an arm on.
Yeah, I think he's got some. He kind of reminds you of Mahomes a little bit, the way that he plays and can sling it. He's good, but it's like, but you're right. It's like, how many guys are really like? I mean, like Mahomes is a one of a kind guy. Like, I mean, have you seen anybody like Mahomes? I mean, I don't know. I mean.
No, it's hard. The NFL has changed, though. I just want everybody out there to know that. Yeah. NFL has changed because Mahomes would have been a different player in the late 80s. Yeah. Taking hits, trying to get up. You just think about what John Elway could have done in this kind of style NFL. It would have been crazy. You can't touch the quarterback anymore. There are a lot of guys, Dan Marino, there are a lot of guys that would probably threw for 6,000 to 7,000 yards in a season. If that was the case. So I always say Mahomes is a great player, but the NFL has changed, just like the NBA has changed over time. They want their keynote players to be on the field, on the court, and not hurt.
Yeah, and then
back in the day,
And then look at what it takes to get a technical foul in the NBA today versus 1988. It was like you had to like clear the bench and get into a brawl to get a tech back then. Now you like look weird at the ref and you get teched.
Well, you think about how Dennis Rodman and Bill Laimbeer and all those guys used to slam Jordan to the court. And he's the top player in the NBA. Now you can't touch. You touch Steph Curry. You can't do that.
Yeah.
It's a different game. So I appreciate where I'm at right now. And when it comes to Mahomes, he's a good player. But I always say there's one GOAT quarterback to me in the NFL, and that is Tom Brady. We've never seen anyone do what Tom Brady. And what's crazy is I was in college at the same time Tom Brady was. And he is still producing on the field.
I know.
He gets me hyped. I'm just going to let America know. He gets me hyped in the living room right now. Watching.
He's an alien, man. Like, what is? I mean, it's insane.
How he prepares himself, the mindset, how he comes out. You go back to the Super Bowl a couple of years ago when his team was down by 25 points.
Yep.
And you look in his face, he was not scared. So those are the players we talking about. I know Mahomes is a very good player, but it still amazes me when a Mahomes card is worth more than a Tom Brady card. There you go, my man.
I've been picking up stuff like this. So this is one. Yeah. I was actually looking at a PSA 10 of this card, but it was just way out of my price range. I kind of like these 0.5.
You're going to win with that. That's 8.5, right?
Yeah, you can find little bargains with the 0.5.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like, because it's not as much as a 9, but, you know, it's like it's – and I just like that blue, kind of that color match with the
It's a great card. That's a great layout. The same layout as the NBA cards. It's a great card. But the great thing about the hobby is you have that PSA 8.5 today. It has high growth potential on it. If you wanted to flip or do something else with that card, or one day walk yourself up to that 10, you can definitely do that with the cards you have in your hand. And those are the cards that I'm looking for when I go to a show. And I think they're forgot about by many investors.
Yeah, no, and the one thing I think about is when it comes to Tom Brady. So when I'm picking up Tom Brady stuff, and again, it's all about price point, kind of like what you talked about. And his stuff is not cheap, you know, but it's not cheap like it used to be years ago. But the one thing though that I think about is I think about all the like Michael Jordan, you know, insert cards, and I think about all the, you know, all the LeBron James, you know, kind of these types of cards that are like double, triple the cost. And I think about like, I don't think that people are really going to appreciate Tom Brady until like 10, 15, 20 years down the road when still 20 years later, nobody's done what he's done. Because I know a lot of people are like, well, Mahomes could, but it's like maybe, but probably not. You know, I mean, probably not.
Think about this. Just think about the number of Super Bowls that Tom Brady won within the fourth quarter with about 3 minutes left in the game. Now, if you go back to the Seattle Seahawks, why wasn't Marshawn Lynch running the ball? Tom Brady won that game. And there are several other games like that. So not only do you have to be healthy, not only do you have to play well, you also have to have the football guys on your side on that Sunday to win that game. Even the Tuck Rule game, like the Patriots should have lost that game. But they didn't. And that started kicking stuff off for him where I think his confidence level now, if you've done what he's done and accomplished what he has, you come into the huddle. And I've been in the huddle. And I love to look at my quarterback and know that he has no fear and he has ice in his veins. Tom Brady's that man.
Tom has a good comment here. Brady has ruined 15 of the last 16 years of being a Bills fan. So I hated it.
He has.
No, I mean, if you were a fan of the AFC East, whether you're a Dolphins fan or a Bills fan, you know, I mean, like it's Jets fan. It's been tough sledding for the last. I'm sure you were happy to see him go to Tampa.
Oh yeah, I was happy to see him go to Tampa, and I had a strong feeling that he was going to win. Let me tell everybody a quick FD story. So I'm getting ready for the Super Bowl. Right, Tampa's going to the Super Bowl, and I started going through cards on eBay, and I started looking to see, okay, what is a quick move that I can make that I think will pay off. So I buy a rookie Gronk card, BGS 9.5. It's out of 500. Gronk has signed it on card. And I bought the card for a very small amount. I can't remember what it was. Very small amount. Very reasonable purchase. The next day, that card had doubled in price when they won. He caused a touchdown Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So there are plays like that people can make when you see. I just feel like there's no way Tom Brady and and his new team and Gronk are going to the Super Bowl and losing. I just felt like it's not going to happen. So I just made a purchase. I made a move. And I think sometimes when you realize certain situations, and if you watch sports, because I think that's another lost part of collecting. If you really get into watching sports and understand these players and how they kind of move around more than just the car, what the actual person does, it'll help you on some buying decisions sometimes.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Who is your team, FD? Do you have a favorite NFL team?
I'm Chicago all day and all night. I mean, the Bulls, the Cubs, the Sox, and the Bears. I follow those teams.
What do you think about the Bears and Fields this year? How are you feeling about him?
Fields is an excellent player. Physically, he can play the game. He has an arm too. He has legs too. The Bears have to make sure they have somebody to protect him and make sure that he can have a longer career than other quarterbacks. We really haven't had a top-notch quarterback, and I believe he was top-notch since the '85 Bears. So he came out of BYU. I mean, a very good player. People downplay him now, but Jim McMahon was a very good player in college. When you get beyond Jim McMahon and Steve Young, they really make BYU and make people pay attention to it. So we really haven't had that caliber of quarterback. So to see Fields, I'm excited. I know Fields made a statement yesterday. I got a close friend named Zim who hit me up this morning and said, "Did you see what this guy said?" He talked about how the game is slow to him. I would just advise him to keep those comments to himself.
Yeah.
And just go out and play the game, because we know preseason game is not the regular season game.
All the defensive ends in the NFL just caught notice about Fields.
Yeah, their ears went up. Yeah, they're ready to come after him now. But I think he's the best quarterback I think I've seen since I was a young kid. So I hope he has much success. I wish he does.
What do you think about all these guys? I swear, I mean, it just feels like the NFL has turned to kind of that running quarterback, but it's not like a typical running quarterback though. It's a running quarterback, but can also throw it 70 yards on a dime. Like, I mean, they can really kind of do it all. But what do you think about like the Fields and the Kyler Murrays and the, it's in that mold of, Russell Wilson and, and all these guys. I guess I saw comments about Randall Cunningham. Yeah, you could say that.
I was about to say Randall Cunningham, and I was about to say Warren Moon. Those two men are probably very proud of what the NFL has done now, because the NFL wouldn't accept teams were not accepting that type of quarterback. I think these quarterbacks will be successful in the NFL. Kyler Murray, I'm really big on. I think I watched him play football at Oklahoma, watched him play baseball. He's just an all-around athlete, and he can throw the ball with precision, which is a lost art in the NFL today. I just want to see when these guys win the Super Bowl. And then it's really going to legitimize who they are as players. And right now, it's just a lot of speculation on what their careers are going to be. But we have Cam Newton came and didn't evolve himself into becoming the next level Cam Newton. I mean, even in the game the other day with the New England, he's still making decisions on where to throw the ball as if he's in his second year in the league. But, you have guys. I think Kyler Murray is a student of the game. He appears to be. I don't see him make the same mistake twice, which tells me that. So I wish those guys a lot of success. But, I want Fields to be successful with the Bears. I mean, we got the Cubs in 2016, the White Sox in 2005, and we know what Jordan did. So it's about time to bring the Bears back a championship.
I heard that. What do you think? Do you think that this is happening because the NFL is protecting quarterbacks now, to where if you're a running QB and they're really good at kind of sliding, but where like back in like '88, like we were talking about, like if you're a running quarterback, you get your head knocked off.
Yeah, you get knocked out.
They weren't protecting QBs back then. So do you think that that's part of why this has opened up like that? Because, they're protecting.
I think that's part of why, but evolution of everything is going to change. And I think a lot of these offenses that want to be successful and have not in the past, think about the teams who really have these quarterbacks. They haven't been successful in the past. So they want the next level of how do we get there to be on their team. But you still have the Peyton Mannings, the Tom Bradys, the quarterbacks that just drop back and throw the ball are still being very successful because they know what they do. You don't see Tom Brady trying to become Kyler Murray. He knows what he does, and he does it well.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess Russell Wilson, he would be one of those guys, but I don't know if he gets the same credit because that Seattle defense was so dominant. When they won the Super Bowl, it was really Seattle's D that carried it. I mean, Russell Wilson was awesome, but that defense was just lights out.
I think also what hurts him, some people may disagree, but he plays in a smaller market. And, Seattle is, Seattle. I hate to say that.
Yeah.
He's not playing in New York. He's not playing in
Yeah.
Chicago. He's not here in that, he's not in LA. He's in Seattle. So there are times the NFL kind of forgets about him. And then he'll come out and play so well. You got to think the last 2 seasons, he's been close to an MVP. But then he has like 3 games that he doesn't even play like himself, and then he loses that award. But I feel like if he had one more MVP, or at least one MVP, or one more Super Bowl title under his belt. Hey, what's up, Sportcards Live?
Hey, Jeremy.
Yeah, he would speak. I think it would be better for him for his long-term career. But we'll see what he does. It's going to be interesting. He has a receiver now. He has a decent running back. He doesn't have what he used to have at the running back position, but we'll see what he does.
What about Lamar Jackson? This is a guy where, I remember 2000, was it fall of 2018 or was it? No, I think it was 19. His cards went through the roof when he won MVP. His cards were here, and then they just went straight up. And then, of course, they've just come back down off of that. And even though he won a playoff game last year, he looked good, but just his cards have kind of they reached kind of that high, and maybe they rose too fast or something during that 19 run. But what are your thoughts on Lamar Jackson? He's kind of an interesting player.
So Lamar Jackson at Louisville, I thought he was a great college player. I didn't think, some people could say, man, FD, you're crazy, but I didn't think his game transferred to the NFL. So that kept me from investing in him, especially at the quarterback position. And he's a running quarterback. If he can't get the run going, that almost reminds me, I'm not comparing him to Michael Vick. I don't want anybody to think I'm comparing him to Michael Vick. But I'm talking about as far as getting your run going and then getting your pass going. Vick had to get that to go. Lamar Jackson also has to get that to go. And I'm not surprised that his cards have come down because the NFL will adjust to him. The NFL will find a way to put a defense on the field that will speak to his weaknesses. And you're probably going to see more of that this year than you've ever seen it before.
That's one thing that's really kind of fun and interesting about the NFL is you're right. NFL defenses, once they get some tape on you, they can dissect you. They'll find every little weakness that you've got, and that's what's so impressive, kind of like what you said about, the Tom Brady's and the Peyton Mannings. It's like for these guys to play at that level, I'm a Saints fan, so Drew Brees with him in the Saints, but for those guys to play at that level when defenses know what's coming, they've watched enough tape on you to know your tendencies. They know, but to still be able to execute it is incredible.
Well, this is the difference, and this from playing some ball in my life. If you're the average quarterback, you come out and you look at, there are 4 reads for wide receivers or your tight end and play in a game. So you're going to look at the first 2. That's all you're going to see. The average quarterback sees the first 2. And once those first 2 are shut down, they're going to run. When you have a legend like Tom Brady on the field, he's seeing everything that's happening on that field. And I can't count how many times I've watched the game and I've seen him drop back and go to his 3rd and 4th receiver and complete the pass. And you don't see that with a lot of guys in the NFL. And those are the things, and where you put the ball, how accurate you put the ball. But those are the things that take you from you're going to be here for a while, you're going to be good, or you're going to be a legend.
Well, especially when you look at those, they're only in the pocket for 3 or 4 seconds. There's no time. I mean, there's no time at all for them to read things. That's a part that I just don't get. I don't understand how they can do it.
You got to be talented. You got to have that special talent, and you got to have nerves to know that whatever hit is coming is not going to stop you from doing what you're doing. And if you could get that combo going, like some of these legends do, you're unstoppable. But if you're fearful back there, or if they're bringing that call in from the sidelines and you're looking to your coach and you just I can't believe he called that play. And if that's going through your mind, you've already lost.
You're in trouble. Yeah, I agree. Let's switch over to basketball. I know you had mentioned kind of the legends, the Jordans and LeBrons and the Dwayne Wades that you're looking for. How about any of these young guys? Do they interest you? And I'm talking about the Bookers or the Giannis's, or obviously Giannis just won a title, but any of these young prospect type players that are pretty fairly proven, but still trying to, 24 to 27, still finding their way. Are there any of these guys of interest to you?
Yeah. Tatum is a very good player to me. I think recently you probably seen some shows and see me buy some Tatum cards. I'm very impressed by Tatum. Tatum has grown tremendously. People don't know this since he's been in the NBA. Tatum is almost 6'10" now. And with his handle, with the way he handles the basketball, that's why this last year Boston played Brooklyn. It was great to see him go against KD. I mean, KD had his hands full. This young man can play ball. It's not the Tatum who was in college. He's aggressive now. He has a chip on his shoulder. He wants to prove himself. Giannis, I think, is a great player, but he's raw as unbeaten eggs in the post. Yeah. So if he was to take his game, what he does, his athletic ability, he scored that 50 points in the final game off of being an athlete. If he was to fine-tune his game, he will be unstoppable. Unstoppable. And I'm looking for, he's still a young man. I'm looking for his progression in the future to be that guy who can call for the ball in the post and then put moves on people, have a 12 to 15 foot jump up from his back to the basket, facing it up. Just things that he could do in the future that I think he's going to still further evolve and be a phenomenal player.
Yeah, Giannis should train with like Hakeem Olajuwon.
Yes.
If he could train with him for just spend your summers with that guy, pay him whatever money that he wants, and just listen to what he has to say. Yes. Because you're right. He's already so dominant. It's just tightening up some of those little things.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think anyone who knows me, and some people may think I'm crazy on this too, but I think James Wiseman is going to be a great player. You're talking about a kid who went from 19 to 20 during the season. Only played 3 games at Memphis, has a 15, 18-foot jumper, can shoot the 3, decent footwork in the post that you can build upon. And the key thing is he doesn't have to be the man right now.
Right.
He has some future Hall of Famers. You got Draymond Green, you got Steph Curry, you got Klay Thompson coming back. Those guys can lead him and coach him on where he fits into the offense. I think the biggest thing about him in the past was that his transition defense was not great. You know, when he scores or someone else scores and he has to get back on the other side, he doesn't know who to guard. But a lot of big men have had that problem. And I think having Kerr as a coach is going to help him out a lot. I'm trying to think about some other players. I like Trae Young. I don't want to discount Trae Young. He's a great player. And right now he's showing that he's a great offensive player. I love when players take the transition to go from being a great offensive player to being a great all-around player. I saw some good defense from him in the playoffs. So I want to see more of that. And I think he has that ability to do that. He definitely has a heart. And when you see that in a young player, there's a little smack talking, and there should be a little smack talking. But he can back it up with his performance on the court. And I like that in him.
Yeah. No, I there's so many young guys that just have so much potential. That's what's kind of fun about this NBA. And it is kind of like the who's next beyond this LeBron, KD NBA that we're living in right now. And we saw Giannis, but a lot of people are saying, well, it's because the Nets were hurt. Essentially, like if the Nets weren't hurt and they had their guys, then then they probably win. Or same with LeBron. If AD is healthy, then they're probably good to go. So I think what'll be really interesting is if one of these young teams can get through and beat like a full strength LeBron team, like a full strength Lakers with Westbrook and AD and LeBron, that's going to be a heck of a West, to deal with. And then same with Giannis. I know I don't want to take away because he's got a title, but there are going to be people who are just like, but the Nets were hurt and and LeBron was hurt, so. Like it's kind of like there's a little asterisk there. Not really, but kind of. I think there's some people with that perception. So,
well, in '98 when the Bulls won their last championship, in '99 the San Antonio Spurs won in a 50-game season. So some people say there's an asterisk there, but Tim Duncan still has 5 rings. So I think you can play your way out of that. And as long as you come to the court prepared, work on your game in advance, people have a short memory and will forget about that. Because I'm pretty sure most people are not thinking about Tim Duncan and David Robinson in '99. So I think he has the ability to do it. But, the proof is what you do on the court and what you're doing in the offseason to prepare. I think that's overall my belief is we all knew about Walter Payton running the heel to get ready for the season. What Jerry Rice did, we all knew about that. But these players today, you don't really know how they work out or what they do. Like Harden, you talk about Harden, you talk about AD. Those two guys AD has never played a season in the NBA, where he's not missed games.
Yeah.
And even when he became a Laker, I said to several friends, like, that guy's not going to make it through a season. But what helped him was the bubble. You know, he only had to play so many games to really produce to win a championship. And Harden, I mean, I would love to see him in shape next year and ready to go because he has a lot of game. And he really could play point guard. Just think about this. He could play point guard for Brooklyn and let Kyrie play the 2 and just be, I think that would be dominant. He showed it with the bad hamstring what he could do at point guard.
Man, I hope we see a full strength NBA next year. That's going to be fun to watch because you're right. I mean, there's a lot of really good rookies and young players, and then you've got the old guys that are still hanging in there. I mean, they're all reloading. The Nets and the Lakers, they're reloading and ready to go. You know, I mean, yeah, it's going to be fun to watch it. I think the NBA kind of needed a break anyway, and for sports cards too. I think we all needed a break. Like basketball cards have been like it's like everyone's been talking basketball cards for a year. You know,
who also I think is going to be a good player is LaMelo Ball. I know there are some people that I know who will say, I don't know about that. I don't agree with that, but I think he's going to be a good player. I just want him to be serious about his career. And you see the skills that are on the court as far as definitely his passing ability. I think he could be a great player, but we'll see.
You're getting new subscribers.
I appreciate it. Manuel Torres. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and I should stop here too. So Rollin with FD is the YouTube channel. Go and check it out immediately. Not yet, not right now, because we're still in here. But like right after this
conversation.
Yeah. Go watch the backlog of vlogs that FD's got. It's really, really good. And I'm not just saying that. I watch a lot of hobby stuff. And then I watch a lot of vlogs, and FD's like stood out. I mean, it was really, really good.
Thank you. I want to tell everybody out there too. I know we're in here, but if you ever see me at a show, if you see me out and about, we can talk sports all day, all night. I mean, I've loved to watch sports and talk about it since I was in college all the way up to now. So it's a pleasure of mine.
Thoughts on Zion?
Zion is well beyond where I thought he was going to be at this point. If you go back to Duke, when Zion tore through his shoe and hurt his knee, my question with him is, will he ever get in shape and commit himself to being in the NBA? This year, you saw him get in better shape. You saw him take his game to another level. He's a player, and I even told a fellow collector this at the National. If he commits to getting a jump shot, putting his back to the basket or facing the basket and having a 12 to 15-foot jump shot, the NBA is his oyster. He can do whatever he wants to do because he can take any big man off the dribble and straight to the cup. But if he can perfect a jump shot, yeah, young man's going to be scary.
All right, we got a question. What does FD think about the National this year? So this was my first National. He told me before we came on, he's been to 5 or 6 of these. So what was go ahead and share your take on the National this year.
The National this year was much larger than anything I've ever seen. It was just so large, so big. I remember years in the past, and I was talking to some guys and some young ladies there who predated me, who have been in Nationals before I was ever at one. And we talked about just how the smallness of it back then was something that you could kind of win at because you could get through the National. Like I remember some years you could go through 3 or 4 times within one day and talk to people and come back to a card that you may have. Now you got to write the table number down. You got to make sure you understand what that person is, get back to them. I think there's some positives though of the growth. Another aspect, autographs and memorabilia used to dominate the National. That was the biggest part of everything that was going on. The Hall of Famers and the autographees that came in to sign for people was the biggest draw. Now the biggest draw is the card side of the business. I saw more people on the card side. Again, they had 115 people sign autographs. So TriStar and the National didn't walk away from kind of what their origins were. And they brought some big names in there this year, definitely right after COVID, and I applaud them for that. But the card side was where I ended up spending most of my time. I've been to Nationals before and spent 2 full days in autograph pavilion and may have gotten 8 to 10 autographs before. This time I got one person, Joe Green, who I've always wanted to meet. And you talk about being a lineman and then stepping in his line and talking to him. He revolutionized everything. People don't give him enough respect. What he changed in the NFL is remarkable. But then walking over to the card side, I spent most of my days over there, getting to know people, building relationships. And it's not all about buying a car. Sometimes it's just about getting to know people and getting a resource, because some of these sellers sell particular cars. Like we bought into a gentleman that sold all vintage cars, and his stuff just looked amazing. So if you're looking for old Walter Payton, or if you're looking for a Joe Namath car, this is definitely a person you want to get to know. You want to find out more about him and stay in contact with him. But the National overall, I like the way it's going. I like the growth that's in it. I like the different age groups. There were some parts, we went to some trade nights at the National where you had 8, 9, 10-year-olds with significant cars on the table for sale. And I've talked to some other people who are in their 70s who were buying and selling stuff. So it's almost like the Disneyland now for anyone that wants to collect.
It really is. All right, Ashton's got a question. What does FT think about the different grading companies, just PSA and BGS, I think is what he meant to say, or is there room for others, SGC, HGA, CSG, in your opinion?
Well, just so everyone knows out there, I used to be a big BGS collector, very huge. I just like the way the BGS slab looked. To me, it looked better. But after really getting into some things and thinking about their long-term investment, PSA is a winner. I mean, what they're doing, I know a lot of people didn't like the fact that they pulled back and didn't accept cards for a while. But my business side, like that was the smartest thing to do. Get your customer service up, push good product out to people. I've talked to people who have said that grading has changed. They're putting out more 9s to 10s. I think as a collector, sometimes you feel like that. I haven't seen anything that suggests that. But I think SGC is a great company as well. I've invested in some SGC cards. The other ones, I mean, we have the company out there that does comic books, and I have switched over to doing cards. I think time will tell on those. And I hope everybody knows out there that the expansion of card graders is not new. I mean, there have been companies that have come in the past and who have folded and who are long gone and never coming back. So this happens on a regular basis. But PSA, BGS, and SGC has stood the test of time. That's who I would invest in.
Nice. All right. Trigger Finger. It's a good statement. I love this guy. Yeah, Trigger Finger is awesome. FD, tell people not to give up on Tyler Herro yet.
Tyler Herro is a hard one. I told several friends during the finals when he was making faces and shooting balls and all this, that, and the other, that young man better come back next year ready to ball, because people are going to come at him. I believe he's a player that can stand the test of time. It's just about him perfecting his jump shot. He's not a player that's going to dominate you physically, but he can score basketball. So if he focuses on that and makes sure that he becomes like a Reggie Miller type that's always on the move, a Steph Curry type, running off screens and shooting the ball, I think he'll have a great career.
All right. Question for FD. What's your holy grail card? And I guess let's answer this two ways. The one, maybe a card that you already have, kind of a favorite of yours, PC card. And then what's one that you're, kind of like the one that, that you want. Well, and you don't necessarily have to say specifically in case you're close to getting it or,
Oh, that's all right. I'll talk about it.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. I think the card that I like the most, just from my background of being in Chicago and being a Bulls fan, and being a Michael Jordan fan, is that I purchased about 9 months ago, a year ago, a 1992 Topps Archive gold Michael Jordan card and a BGS 10.
Oh,
there's only 3 in existence.
Yeah,
only 3 in existence. I mean, that card. I don't do a lot of selling. There may be times in the future where I may do more combining of cards to get another card that I want, but that's a card that I like a lot. I got it from PWCC. It's a great card. My Holy Grail is one we talked about earlier, I think, is the Steph Curry card. PSA 10 Pop 1 Steph Curry rookie card. It's the most expensive card that I've ever purchased personally, but I knew that making that investment was going to be worthwhile long term.
Love it. Love it. I have a question for you. And actually, no, this is you're the perfect person to answer this too. Just being a Jordan collector, and also someone that looks at LeBron as well. We've seen over the last couple of years, especially the big to do about Jordan autos, LeBron James autos, Kobe autos, and now you got patches, and now these are tens of thousands of dollars. Some of these cards. did you get any of these types of cards previous to kind of the boom? And were they this much back then? Because I feel like they weren't. I feel like they were expensive, but they weren't.
They were not as expensive as they are now. Yeah, not expensive as they are now. I didn't buy any before the boom. If you could put me in a time capsule and take me back, I would make many investments before COVID happened. The interesting thing about COVID is that, when everything was going on and we were kind of leaving work and doing different things, my mind was so much on something else. And it wasn't even on collecting. And then about 4 months in, I started realizing like people at home really making positive business decisions and collecting decisions on what's in their portfolio. So yeah, to answer your question, I didn't buy a lot of that level of card before. I was still a lot on autographs at the time. And I want to let people know, when I say autographs, like, I'm not just collecting, Dustin, if you're somewhere signing autographs, I'm just not walking in and getting your name on something. Like, I do a lot of research on autograph, probably just as much as I do on cards. I'm down to the nth degree of every award that, Dustin, if you play first base for the Cubs, every award you ever won, where did you come from? Where were you born? I'm doing all kind of research. So like recently, there are some people here in LA who worked the show. I went to see Herro right before the pandemic. I think the September before. And I got him to sign a Twins jersey, and Herro put down 35 inscriptions.
Wow.
35. He signed that jersey for an hour.
Oh.
And we talked as he was signing. Now, he signed for a little bit, let other people come through the line, and then I came back when everybody else was gone. And while he was signing, I had a chance to talk to him one-on-one, ask him a bunch of questions about different things. And I asked him a question that my friend Zim gave me was, what would you do today if you had to hit against the shift? And he looked me in my eye and told me I would just hit directly against it to the other side. And he said the key reason is because I don't have an ego. So I'm not looking to hit the home run. I'm not looking to hit probably the high probability hit that they think I'm going to hit. I'll lay a bunt down or lay something down third base, but I'll make sure that I'm on base. So that's the kind of in-depth level I would get into when it came to autograph. Another story I'll tell you, and I think we're going to talk about this on the upcoming episode. Last September, I had an idea, and Ridiculous, the artist Ridiculous, who was in the episode with me, I had an idea. Hank Aaron had an autograph signing coming up with a group out of Milwaukee. And I had an idea to get him to sign something, but I couldn't think of what. So I contacted Ridiculous, and I had Ridiculous make a 6 foot by 5 foot painting of Hank Aaron in his classic batting stance with the foot up right before he began to swing. I really get into everything. So someone's whole, how they approach the plate and how they're swinging, everyone is different. So I had him create that painting. I got a cargo van and drove that painting. Some people may think I'm crazy for that. This is how deep I get. I drove that painting from LA to Atlanta. I left here on a Saturday at 6:30 in the morning. I got to Atlanta at about 6 p.m. on a Tuesday. And Mr. Aaron signed the painting on a Wednesday.
Wow.
And that's one of my prized, I think, possessions. The whole story behind it, how the painting got made, the significance of the painting when you look at it, the meaning of it, what it is, and the fact that he signed it. I took some painter's tape and put on the painting and hand wrote a message to him about the importance of it, how my father was his biggest fan. And it seemed like Mr. Aaron really paid attention to that because we know before his passing, he had a shaky handwriting, and the signature on that painting is very smooth.
So he was taking that seriously. He loved it. That's awesome, man.
That's the level, Dustin, that I've gotten to with autographs. And
so yeah, you're going way beyond. It's more memorabilia, special memorabilia stuff, not necessarily like card autos, not necessarily, because that's more that's kind of more vanilla, I guess, than what you're doing. I mean,
I think the card autos I'm morphing into. Like, there's some auto stuff that I've gotten recently of some older players and some younger players, the stuff that I'm morphing more into. But I just want people to know out there that, Rolling with FD has been happening for a while before it ever hit a camera. There's some things that I do that I know have been quite different than probably what somebody else would do.
Dude, you got some amazing stories. You got to share these stories on the channel too.
I
know you
plan
have
to.
a little bit.
I plan to more. So the one I'll hit you with here is that my first autographed jersey was Willie Sargent. And so I go to the Rosemont Convention Center where we just had the National, and Willie Sargent was there signing autographs. And I don't know if it's true or not, but I believe it is. He told me that day that was the first jersey he had ever signed. And he asked me a bunch of questions about where I got your jersey from. I was about 14 or 15. And that was the time that, he was asking me a bunch of questions that I didn't really have an answer. So my father started talking to him. My father and Mr. Sargent talking back and forth. But like Willie Sargent, Yogi Berra, met Willie Mays in person in Chicago, had him sign a jersey with 15 inscriptions on it, something he didn't want to sign. And I kind of talked to him about the significance of it for me. I also have a jersey that is a tribute jersey to Jackie Robinson.
Wow.
So my goal is to have 100 people sign it. Right now, I've had 51 people sign it. And one of the key people, Hank Aaron is on it, some other people are on it, but one of the key people was Rachel Robertson signed it. I had a chance to talk to her on the phone for a little bit before she signed the jersey.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah.
Man.
I get deep, Justin. I get deep.
This is impressive. So do you have just a wicked man cave with all this stuff in it? Or
I have a lot of stuff. I have a lot of stuff in storage.
I was going to say, because there's no way, I mean, unless you just got like a massive, or maybe if your wife's just kind of cool with like, hey, the whole house is full of memorabilia. I know my wife is fine with it being upstairs and not in her purview,
Yeah. She's cool with a little bit of it being around, but I have a lot of stuff in storage.
Yeah. Well, and plus too, I don't know if I would necessarily want, I don't know, like have it out in the living room to where people will be like, oh, I wonder what else, what other things this guy's got.
Yeah. And I've always been a collector where I know that out of the light source in the dark with a controlled temperature is where you really want your stuff to be. So I've never been a person to really look at a lot of stuff or have a lot of stuff around me. If you came into my home, probably at any time, different places I've lived, you probably wouldn't even know I really collected anything. It's really all stored away somewhere to kind of preserve it. So I kind of always keep that going.
Oh, Triggerfinger has a question. Do you remember collecting the Coke bottle cap football player inserts from the late 70s? I finally got an Isaac Curtis to complete the set and got my Mean Joe Green jersey from Coke. Wasn't Mean Joe Green in that Coke commercial?
Yeah.
Like
famous Coke.
Yeah.
Famous. So I've seen these. These almost a little bit predate me as far as my collecting. So I've seen some of these, and some of these have a value to, a pretty great value to them. So Triggerfinger, I will hold on to the ones that you have.
FD is the hobby. Great content, guys.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
FD is a real one for sure. I mean, yeah, it's legit.
Yeah, I tried. Like, I think we're going to talk more on the show about different things that we brought up here today and some others. But like, I always tell people, we just try to keep this real to what we really do and how we really get involved. And I think the connection with my father and how his influence on what I do kind of really sparked the show. So I talked to him about, before he passed, 2 years ago, a year to 2 years ago, about this show. And I would ask him all the time if he thought it was something I should do. Because he used to tell me all the time when I was younger that he felt like not many people did what I did or approached it the way I approached it. And will put the research in to understand. I'll tell you, I've impressed many athletes in front of them talking about their career and talking about things that they wouldn't even think anyone would know about. I've had people inscribe things on jerseys and helmets that most people don't talk to them about. And I think when you approach it,
and that's probably how you get all those inscriptions, because they're like, dude, I'm not signing 20 things. And you're like, well, let me just, then you tell them stories about their career and they're like, okay, all right, maybe I will do this.
Just like one tidbit of information, Rod Carew's name is Rod because the doctor that delivered him on a train was named Rodney.
Wow.
So his mother named him after that doctor. Now, I brought that to him when I was at the table.
And you're the only guy at the show that said that, I'm sure.
Yes, so he was knew that. He asked me, how did I know that? I said, well, I do research, sir. I know a lot about you. I talked about different awards he's won over time. That's not like the best big SI man of the year, like awards in his home country that he won. We talked about that.
That's awesome, man. Ryan's got a question about autographs being so he's talking about just kind of squiggle autographs. Yeah. Do you think there should be concern about forgery because of the squiggles? Like if someone's can easily kind of do that?
I think that's a legitimate question. I think there is room for a concern. I know everybody out there who's a collector has looked at how LaMelo Ball's autograph has changed over time to where he gave you a full LaMelo Ball, and now he's giving you a LM that looks like 5 other players' LM.
Yeah, that's rough.
All I can say is that if you look at we were at the National. They had some Harry S. Truman autographs, John F. Kennedy, a different athlete, Joe DiMaggio, Mickey Mantle. Look at the grace, how they signed. Willie Mays, even when he was young, Hank Aaron. Their autograph is legible, but there's a grace to it. Some of these younger players, I don't know what they're doing, but we'll see.
Yeah, I just bought a Willie Mays auto. It's my first, well, not my first baseball auto. I've got a Reggie Jackson auto as well, but it's kind of a cool card. I don't actually have it yet. I just bought it, but you're right though. It's not a squiggly little signature. It's a like you took time to sign it.
It's time to sign, and you take pride in what you're giving someone. I think over time, some kind of way that got lost, but I hopefully there's a. You talking about Reggie Jackson? He takes much time with his autograph, even when you see him in person. Like he takes his time signing to make sure. And a lot of these older guys want to make sure every autograph looks the same. I remember one time I saw Joe Montana. I'll tell you this: he had a ballpoint pen in between 2 fingers. He had a Sharpie in between 2 fingers, all in the same hand, and he had a paint pen in between all 3 fingers. He was just turning his hand and signing. That's how he was just whipping stuff out. So when I got up there, I asked him to put every pen down and just concentrate for me. And he started laughing. But he put every pen down. These guys are just whipping through. The average, most of the time when guys come to a signing, they're guaranteed to sign so many autographs in a time frame that they're there. So just keep that in mind as a collector. Do something up there that differentiates yourself to make them slow down. I've seen Willie Mays grab a ball that was signed by Mickey Mantle and sign right over Mickey Mantle because he just wasn't paying attention to it. Trigger finger. You got another question?
Yeah, he said players just take pride in their signatures. Today's athletes don't.
Absolutely right.
Well, and also I think too that they might not understand how important these items are to the fans. For the collectors and the fans of these players, they might just not understand, kind of the lineage, kind of how far this stuff goes back. It's not just a baseball or it's not just a signed card. It's like a piece of history for them. It's like what you were talking about LaMelo Ball. If LaMelo Ball is the next Michael Jordan, 20 years down the road, we're looking back and wondering if that is his signature or not.
Crazy, right?
That's like his RPA. It's not like it's a revolution or like an absolute.
You're talking about national treasures.
It's the one. It's the RPA. It's like, come on.
But I think there is a disconnect between athletes and their mindset and the hobbyist mindset. And there could be some truth about the athlete not thinking about this. They're just going through a signing of some cards and then moving on with their day.
All right, guys, I think we're going to wrap up here. We're right at about an hour and 15 almost. So let me know if you have any other questions. Go ahead and throw them in for FD. Throw them in the chat, and we'll go ahead and get through. Armin, how you doing, man? It was good meeting you.
What's up, Armin?
Yeah,
Armin Blue. Just so everybody knows, Armin Blue is my guy.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Real cool guy.
And then also, like I know I've said it, but if you're just tuning in, check out Rollin with FD's YouTube channel. It's the ultimate card vlog.
Thank you very much.
It's very good.
And if anybody has any questions after this that they think of, you can DM me on Instagram. You can shoot me anything. You can send me an email at rollinwithfd@gmail.com. Anything is fine.
And your IG is it's Rollin with FD, right?
Yeah. ROLLIN with FD on Instagram.
All right. They're asking for Super Bowl predictions.
Oh, I'm going to go crazy. You want me to go crazy for you? I think Tampa Bay is about to repeat.
Who is?
I think Tampa Bay is about to repeat.
Yeah, I'm a Saints fan. It hurts me to say that, but they're just stacked.
Stacked.
I mean, they didn't lose
and they got their running back that they didn't have last year, who is a beast at running the football. And I think this to Brady, it's just interesting. I hate to say this for the Jameis Winston fans out there, but Brady is playing with the same team.
Yeah.
I hate to say that. Like, and I played on teams where one player, definitely the quarterback, can make a difference. And if I'm a second or third year player, and you got somebody like Tom Brady coming into the locker room, I'm about to ball out.
Lawrence, yes, absolutely. You need to be paying attention when you're signing, man. Think about who's going to want that. Just don't just scribble. Just sign a full.
So let me tell you this story. I'll tell you this story before we leave real quick. So when I was a kid, right, I had dreams of playing in the NFL, probably like a lot of children out there. So when I would get bored in class, I would practice my autograph over and over and over and over again to make sure that thing looked like something. And even when we got to college, I played at a certain level. Well, it'd be some kids from the town who would want your autograph, and I'd give it to them. But I think some of these young guys should just practice their autograph. Look at what they're giving people.
Actually, this is a good question. Any suggestions for the human highlight reel, Dominique Wilkins inscription? I think it'd be awesome if he wrote, like, if I had a signature that was Dominique's with human highlight reel on it or something to that effect. I think that'd be awesome. I know it's kind of like cliche, but
that would be cool. Well, if you get up there, you tell me if you can get this done. Ask him to write, "I really beat Jordan in those slam dunk contests."
That's a good one.
See if he'll write that. That's where I would go with it. Because I think at least one of me won, but I won't admit it any place else than this.
I remember as a kid, and of course, like it was like pre, Direct TV where you had all the channels and whatever. And I got so excited when it was Hawks Bulls, like you catch it because of like there was no TV guide, or at least I don't remember it. Like you had to read the TV guide, I didn't know what was coming on. And I remember just flipping through and it'd be like an NBA game. It's like, oh yes, it's the Hawks and the Bulls.
Oh yeah, man. You knew it was going to be Showtime offensively. You knew Dominique was going to bring it because he wanted to let people know that he was as good as Jordan. Oh yeah. Awesome. He doesn't get enough respect. I just saw him. He's going to be on an autograph show, I think, coming up in October. His prices are reasonable. He doesn't get enough respect. That guy used to rock the rim and bring thunder before anybody else in the 80s was doing that. He brought it. And he put Atlanta on his back a lot of times against Boston in the playoffs.
It was him, and was it Kevin Willis?
Kevin Willis, yes.
Kevin Willis was good. He was so underrated.
Yes, he was. And he had a long career, in shape all the time, a good power forward, and consistent. Yes. But, he played with Mookie Blaylock. We had Spud Webb down there. There were people on that team. They had some good teams. But anytime you got to come through Jeffrey Jordan, you got a problem.
Trouble.
Just think about the Hall of Famers that don't have a ring today because of that young man.
I know. I like the paintings or like the portraits where it shows like Michael Jordan looking up into a crowd and it's all those players looking back at him that are pissed. I love that.
Yep. Oh yeah.
All right, guys. We're gonna go ahead and wrap it up. But like I said, if you have not been to Rollin with FD's YouTube channel, go there immediately and just check it out. It's awesome stuff. FD, thanks for joining me, man. I want to do this more often for sure. Yeah. Let's get you on the rotation.
Yeah, I would love to come on. I'd love to spend time with you, whoever else you have. I would love to do it anytime. And I really appreciate, I want to let you know, I really appreciate this time and letting me get on this platform and at least talk. And I love talking about sports or collecting or anything under the sun dealing with the sports land. So everybody out there, if you have a question about anything, you just let me know, send it to me. I'll give you what I think. It may not be, the popular opinion, but it will be FD's opinion.
You got to respect that. Love it.
Yes, sir.
All right, guys. Thanks very much for joining. We will see you again next time. Take care.